Welcome back, everybody. We are going to continue today with a very cheery subject, disease, and the spiritual causes and spiritual approaches to them. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Lisa. Eric says, hi, Mom. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
What's up, Eric?
He leans his head back. He goes, a sky?
Oh, God. You know, you're so lucky to be over there where I can't get you. Or I can't turn you over my knee.
That's very true, Eric.
Not that I ever would. All right, Eric, can you illuminate what you think about hypertension, high blood pressure that's so prevalent in our society? It's a silent killer. What's up with that?
He's making his hypertension sound.
What?
I don't know. He's making the sound that his chest is too tight and he can't take a deep breath.
Okay.
Hypertension happens with people who carry on too much burden and take on too much shit and won't acknowledge it. Refuse to say to other people that they are doing too much because they don't want to seem like they can't handle it. Well, guess what? We'll handle it. We'll tighten up everything in your chest to where it won't work anymore.
Great.
And he goes, when I say we, I'm speaking of the energetic vibrations. He's teasing me.
As usual.
Speaking of the energetic vibrations of the body. He goes, there's no person or spirit or God standing next to you going, all right, dude, you're not doing it right, so we're just going to do this to you. But when you don't acknowledge that you're overstressing yourself, or you're doing something that you're not taking pride or joy in, you can imagine that you're just kind of adding another blanket on top of you. And pretty soon you're doing it for 10 years, 20 years. You know, you can have thousands and thousands of blanket, which is a huge amount of weight. And slowly your body's adapting to it, because when you put one blanket on you, it's all right. You get used to it. 3, you get used to it. 5, you start to get used to it because it's slowly layering. It's slowly happening. And I think that's why we call it just like this quiet disease, because we're unaware we are so stressed because it's happened so slowly. And we, as humans, I can't imitate that. The most incredible things that we do is adapt. We change. And to seem like we know what the hell we're doing, we'll keep adapting and not stop and say, wait a second, I'm not even cold anymore. I don't need any more blankets. I don't need more burden. And we don't know how to correct it. So our society, boo, hiss, is kind of to blame for this, because it's not teaching us as individuals to say, wait a second, is this okay for me? Is this all right? Have I gone past a point that I can't come back from? Our jobs aren't teaching us how to do that. And can't we adapt that kind of really cool Asian thing where we come in and we meditate first before we do our work, and we breathe before we do our work, and then we sit down and we have powwows and we talk about the shit we're about to do, and then we do it? Like, that would be awesome. We would learn how to check in. But no, as Americans, we are tools.
Well, yeah, you know, our workplaces, they don't care. They just want to get squeeze as much productivity from us as we can. So, of course, there's a fear of losing a job or losing a relationship, etc. There's that.
Dude, he's getting all rowdy right now. He's like, 2 weeks of vacation, and what the fuck? If you get pregnant, you get 3 months no pay.
So everybody get pregnant.
He goes, Mom, you don't even get paid. They just say, we promise to have your job if you decide to come back. Other countries, they get a whole year's worth of salary, and they get to stay home and raise their children and come back to their job and have their salary.
So,
but, like, we constantly fuck people over here.
That's no good. Well, it seems like
so much stress.
It seems like in this case, and perhaps in a lot of these conditions, disorders, diseases, it's all about learning to question yourself. Is this why I do it? Is this how I do it? Is this what's behind my feelings, etc.? It's like, we don't do that very much. We don't use our inner compass and explore to increase our awareness of things.
one-man standing ovation happening.
All right. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So, can you elaborate on that?
He said, yeah, we have adapted ourselves to learn from other people or learn from a structure when really we should be remembering from our beyond life, from our other incarnations, on how to listen to what we need, what you need. To ask yourself, is this what feels right? You know, because so much we take on what other people like to do or feel is appropriate. Like, you even need to sit down and ask, is red really my favorite color? Because my mom is my best friend and I love her to death, and red is her favorite color, so it's probably mine. Is that really my favorite food? Question and challenge yourself on why you believe in what you do, because you're going to find more than half of it is learned from somebody else, and it wasn't even your first-hand experience. It was taught to you.
Fascinating.
Sucka sucks, he says.
Anything else before we go on to the next cheerful disease?
He goes, no, let's knock him down.
All right. What about, let's talk about arthritis. That's also very, very common. In children, not as much, but still it occurs there too. With that group.
That sucks. He said, arthritis hurts, man. For those of you who don't have it, that shit hurts and it sucks. All right. He's first talking about dietary needs and the need to detox. These people with arthritis don't detox. They don't let go easily. And they have a ton of inflammation in the body, which particular diet structures can help with. And he said, I think... Slow down, Erik. No, I can't. Okay. He's taking America. And he said, just because I always use them as an example, it doesn't mean I'm bashing on them. It's just that that's where I came from. You're watching this is probably where you are. If not, you get to learn a little bit about Americans. He says, our diets are really bad. Our diets, we have a sweet palate. We don't have a savory palate. We don't have a spicy palate. But we have trained ourselves to go off of carbohydrates and sugars, and this kind of diet creates inflammation in the body. Arthritis is a disease of inflammation. If our culture had a different diet, and you can look into other cultures and look at the rate of arthritis with them, completely different than what our race has. Completely different. It is how we feed ourselves, which is a form of nurturing, but it's also, I think, he says, an ignorance. You know, just like we were discussing before, we kind of take on, oh, you're going to teach me how to feed myself, and obviously you're the government, or you're this, you know better than me, or you've put it in the stores, so it's obviously good for me to eat, so that's what I'm going to eat. You know, we really haven't hit the roads teaching people what good nutrition is. About 60%. I'm not even fucking joking. He's like, his head is wiggling and got his arms. I'm not even fucking. That 60% of the diseases we have in bulk in the United States would go away if we changed our diet.
And
totally go away.
Is the diet a general type diet, or does every person, do we need to ask, this diet doesn't feel good to me, I need more of this, I need less of this? Is that what we should do? Like the whole thing about questioning our own needs and our own motives?
Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if we had to talk about it in general,
right,
I would ditch the bulk of he calls them nasty carbohydrates.
Okay.
He's trying to differentiate between strong and good carbohydrates and then the ones that aren't, processed, things of that nature. And then he's talking about sugars, white sugar, sweet palates. We need to go more towards spice. Mm-hmm. In general, if everyone did that, he's saying that's the 60% that will drop. But individually, you need to know, do you need a higher protein, a lower protein? What are your allergies? Can you not do cow milk? now he's saying, what the fuck? Why do we have cow milk? We're not baby cows, which are called calves, by the way, Eric.
You got him on that one. All right, so, well, we don't want our kids to, before they go off to soccer practice, to say, hey, Mom, can I have a swig? So that's not going to work. What kind of spices do you recommend? You talk about spicy things.
Garlic, onion, pepper, black pepper, white peppers. He's showing me a range of greens, parsleys, rosemaries, thyme, oregano. These are wonderful for the blood and for the lungs. He said we used to use herbs and spices to treat illnesses and diseases, and then they turned into flavoring and topping, and then they've kind of gone away because our only flavor and topping we like are sweets. So the average American doesn't know what these seasonings are. They don't know their link in the medicinal history, and this should be average knowledge. Everyone should have access to this, but we don't even get motivated to check it out because it's not in our diet that is taught to us by the government.
What about turmeric, or however you pronounce it? Does that help too?
He pronounces it turmeric, and he said, hails, yes.
All right.
It's a huge anti-inflammatory seasoning.
Now, you talk about detox. Is there any special way we can detox other than changing our diet and tapping our foot and waiting for things to clear out?
Enough fluids. He's talking about massage, even if it's lymphatic massage or if it's deep muscle massage. He keeps talking about intimate touch and sex as being a detoxing agent because of the certain hormones that are released. He's trying to explain it to me, and I said, you know what, we can just move on. It's
yes,
fine.
Please.
And beyond that, he's talking about, we said that, we did the massage, we did the diet. He's talking about physical movement, even if it's just stretching. Like, it doesn't have to be intense. And people underestimate the power of sweat. Sweat is a big detoxer.
Sweat equity. Okay. So I bet dancing, like learning how to do the salsa and all that would help because there's a spiritual component and an exercise component. Would that help too?
Completely. Yes.
Okay. Hope they're not going to dance like you, Eric.
He's hitting this just, come on.
Well, seriously, you get it from me. All right. Now, so you said that a lot of these people have a problem letting go. Is that in general? Letting go of things in general? Letting go of relationships that are not working, letting go of emotions that are toxic, etc.
Yeah, it's basically placing responsibility. What are you going to be responsible for?
Okay.
Is it your relationship? Are you taking too much on from your child? Are you doing too much for your wife, your husband? He says those have to be looked at. In general, the theme of letting go is letting go of anything that you cannot personally control, and that's uncomfortable for you to control.
Okay. That makes sense.
Ding.
Well, one more question about that. What about children? I mean, they come in with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, is that purely because of their diet? I mean, what sort of spiritual basis could that be? They're so young. How could they develop enough time to have problems letting go of negative responsibilities or toxic responsibilities and things that we adults are guilty of?
Well, sometimes you sign a contract to come in to have an illness or disease as a child to help family members or someone particular learn a lesson as well as yourself. So it's not all about you, me, but it's also about what kind of contract and who is involved.
Okay, for give me an example of one contract. I mean, what one lesson?
With leukemia. He says, let's look at a child that has leukemia.
Uh-huh.
How much does that fucking suck, right?
Yeah.
And half of us all stand up and scream, it's just not fair. You know, this child should have every right. Well, guess what? Your child did have every right, and your child willingly stepped into it. How amazing is that? The strength and the innocence of a child can totally trump someone who's been in this life advocating for themselves and working for it for over 40 years. And so what do they spread? What do they show? Hope, perseverance, strength. They overcome their disease. Their whole family learns how to love in a different way because they're not going to rely that the person they love is going to wake up the next day and be okay. It's not living out of fear, but it's showing gratitude and respect for every moment that they do have.
That's a
grand lesson.
Well, that's a very valuable lesson.
Because isn't it fucked up that isn't it messed up that that we only learn these lessons, these very intense ones, through an experience like this? Like, don't you just want to sit back and go, why can't I just learn that? Or why can't somebody put that on a piece of paper for me and I'm just going to get that?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing that drives me crazy. It does. Drives you crazy?
No, that explains a lot. All right, well, anything else before we close off, Erik?
Just that you're wonderful and incredible.
Oh, you are too, baby. I miss you. I hated leaving the Chilling Erik weekend because the whole place was so filled up with Erikness and so much love. And the person next to me, next to Rooney, I saw that she was doodling on her pad and she put "I heart Erik" all over it. It was so cute.
Erik said that the room smelled like him, and
well, it smelled good, so I don't know. But anyway, so it was hard to be ripped away from that. So
says, I understand. He says, we'll just have to do it again.
Absolutely. How about tomorrow?
He says, I'll be on it. See you at the house.
All right. Love you.
He said, I love you, Mom. I love everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Jamie.
Bye, Lisa. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
And one more reminder. I know I sound like a broken record, but you've got to go to Jamie's wonderful site, withloveandlight.com. There's so much there. Give it a click.
Thanks. Well, you should also finish reading the blog or start reading the blog at channelingerik.com. And remember, it's Erik with a K, ERIK.com.
Oh, and you can take a look at my book, too, My Son and the Afterlife, Conversations with the Other Side, because you will learn so much wisdom that Erik imparts.
Yes, and humor.
Yeah, and some curse words, but you can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, real bookstores, not online. Okay, that didn't come off right, but you guys know what I mean. Coffee time. All right,
Yes.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.